Right. So, what's up, everyone? Um, happy Sunday evening to all of you, or happy Monday morning to those guys here in the Philippines. Yeah. So, it's me, Maiev. We have Panda, Eki, and Disco here. Binz is not around, and today we'll be talking about a recap of Rune Royale 3.5. We'd also be hearing some crypto news from Disco. Eki would be sharing his new AI art, and we'd also like to discuss MMOs that you played. We'd like to hear some feedback regarding them and what you like about them or what you hate about them or what kept you playing them for a long time. Because we'd be showing some leaks in a couple of weeks from Alex, and yeah, we would use those feedback to develop our games. And lastly would be our normal weekly giveaway, wherein we'd be crafting rune words and doing it on Stream Elements. Yeah, so hello, Ike Balaman.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Maiev. All right. Good morning, good afternoon, Twitch chat. Hope you guys are all doing well. Let's see. So let's do a recap of Rune Royale 3.5. A very, let's say, friendly tournament.
The worst time I have ever had playing.
Eki just hates friends, but yeah, Rune Royale 3.5, definitely a defining characteristic of that tournament was that there were so many friendly rounds. A lot of let's be friends, lots of friendly reverse, and we tried to spice things up with I think deathmatch, and I think we got a couple of Indiana Jones, a couple of standard game modes in there, but overall the defining theme was definitely a lot of friendliness. Chaos Myth did end up taking a very dominant victory, his, I believe, third win. Mr. Buggins got second, Sassy Boy third, Askia, a new name, I believe, showing up at least in the tournaments, getting fourth, and the IQ Ballerman in fifth. Just a reminder for you guys, the next Rune Royale is going to be on December 30th. That is not going to be a Sunday. Sunday is the 25th, which is obviously Christmas. We are likely going to be postponing that stream. We'll just be having the Rune Royale on the 30th, though. Please keep that in mind. If anything changes, we will let you guys know.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So, yeah, I guess that's it for Rune Royale 3.5. Congratulations to all of the winners, of course. Disco, crypto news. What has been going on in the past couple of weeks? Have we missed anything important? Has it been a slow, time into crypto, which is a little bit weird to say considering all of the things that has transpired in the past month or so?
Indeed. Well, I guess it has been slow in terms of events materializing, which for some respects is good. There's a little bit of a calmness again and normality to the situation. We are still finding out a lot of information through some of the legal documentation that has been available for the public to view, some of the accounting involved with some of these companies, which is then bringing further light to other areas. So there's been an opportunity to have a look at two Genesis books and who they owe money to, and again, further cementing that view of these kind of circular economies, people leveraging each other. So has it fully unwound yet? I'm not too sure. A lot of eyes on Binance now as the biggest player, I guess naturally will draw attention. Some questionable activity, I guess, in terms of with relation to Tether and its issuance and transactions to and from BitMEX. So I think there might be some more information to come out on that. We'll of course try and keep you informed. There was a lot of questions, I guess, for people around the backing of BUSD, with the backing of stablecoins and their reserves being a concern. That has been, again, audited or attested to as well by the issuer of BUSD, which is Paxos, and that lives on the Ethereum network. Now, what is notable is that BUSD on other networks, which is largely the BNB chain and the Binance kind of smart chain, where very small amounts on AVAX and Polygon as well, but I think less than a million on both. The concern around that is that the tokens on those chains are issued by Binance and therefore not actually the backed BUSD as assured by Paxos. So there is a notable difference there. I did go and have a look, and I was able to see what certainly, in terms of numbers, what's visible on Etherscan and BNB chain scan, BNB scan, whatever the website is. Looking on those chain explorers, it did appear that on the Ethereum chain, there is a tagged account by Etherscan called the Binance wrapped token BUSD wallet. So that essentially is the back-in for all of those wrap tokens, and it certainly does equate to the supply. There was more, a larger back-in of wrap tokens that there was supply on chain that was visible. So that at least, gave me some assurance, and also in total, I went and had a look at the totals on those other chains as well, what I could find on those two, and couldn't see anything certainly to indicate that there wasn't sufficient reserves back in those wrapped assets that we like to pair ours to. So yeah, I think for anybody concerned about that from a perspective of Rune, Binance do appear to have the backing for those wrap tokens to a sufficient amount, which are then assured to by Paxos. So we're fairly confident about that. And yeah, I guess it does still come down to some credibility of Binance as well and how they react. But being the largest player in the market, it would be quite something, I guess, to see them topple at the moment. No doubt there will be people trying to do that, either from a personal hate situation, you always attract some haters. There could be some, from a genuine concern around customers. This is a largely unregulated and sometimes shady market, and therefore, there is some need to try and shine a light on those kind of practices and stamp them out before the industry goes fully mainstream with those weaknesses and flaws in place, because otherwise we just emulate the TradFi kind of market. And we've seen that, with this whole scenario around FTX. So yeah, I don't see any immediate need for concern personally around BUSD and all that. Of course, everything's not financial advice, and you always need to consider your own situations and circumstances, but we won't be immediately trying to go to another chain or anything, certainly in light of those kind of that information. So yeah, no issues around that. Do I think there's some more exchanges to fall? Potentially. We've seen AAX go down. We are hearing about trading houses actually shut in for professional traders. So yeah, it's going to be again an interesting few weeks. I don't think it's has stopped playing out. I think it will continue to play out, but I think it will slow down, especially this time of year. But I'll keep looking just to try and keep us all informed, just in case there is anything going on for us to be concerned about. That's kind of it, I think, from me, from the crypto world. And again, to give all that insurance, we do have options. We are able to potentially snapshot and go to another chain if we needed to, in terms of all the items and everyone's NFTs, and replicate that. So all those room modes you've been gathering wouldn't go to waste. So there are backup options for us, and even beyond that, absolute worst case. So yeah, I don't think there's any need to be concerned around these situations from our perspective anyway. We never received any VC funding. We are a community-led project, So what the market does, it doesn't really affect us in any way, apart from slightly positively when there is a bull market going on, which of course we'll be looking forward to and be ready for.
Great, thank you, Disco. So one thing I do want to add is I if I'm being honest, I didn't keep up too much with the news, but I do think I saw something on Reddit saying that I think Coinbase had a very substantial amount of Bitcoin in their holdings, which I think it gave some people some confidence in Coinbase's, I guess, liquidity or whatever word you want to use. I don't know if you saw that or not, if that gives you any more confidence. I'm not sure if that's something that really matters or not, since I don't believe they did publish their liabilities, which from what I understand is very important.
Yeah, so I think, it's all well and good saying I've got X amount of money, but unless you tell people, who you owe money to and how much, then are you really, a millionaire? If you've got $2 million worth of debt, that's kind of the basics of it. And the issue potentially is that it's not their money in the first place, it's customers' money. Now with Coinbase, yes, there are proven reserves and potentially some of that money segregated. What one customer in particular has had some issues with is wanting to prove those reserves that are sat with Coinbase, which would be GBTC and Grayscale, and not wanting to show the actual backing by providing a signature from that wallet, or some other form of evidence to show that they are in control of those funds and those are locked. Now there is assurances and auditing in place that would indicate that those practices do happen, and therefore there should be some level of confidence in those reserves for that particular product. However, I think the concern for the potential creators and managers of that product is that it would also then allow people to trace the flow of Bitcoin into there. And there might be some concerns from them as to the source of that and how that has traveled. So that may be the reason that they cite technical issues. It seems kind of hard to believe, and is an easy fallback on, when you're trying to cover something. So I do think there are some issues in the way that they've presented themselves, having been faced with those questions in light of the current situation and information going around of the handling of many other companies that they've been directly associated with too, in terms of the issuance of GBTC and the trading of that. So yeah, I think in terms of Coinbase having those reserves again, we just don't know. Are they being leveraged? Are they being used elsewhere? Are they being used as collateral for potential lending and loans, to create that leverage in the market? And we have assurances that isn't happening. What we don't have is actual any evidence. And considering that there is evidence that the quite the opposite has been happening, people have been leveraging using items for collateral and then re-leveraging themselves further on that. I think there is a definite need for these companies to also share their liabilities. So I think from an initial perspective, having those large reserves like Coinbase and Binance do is great on paper, and certainly gives some, I guess, comfort as being exchanges that there is sufficient capital to certainly allow trading and continue a fairly regular and perhaps even slightly irregular pace of withdrawals. Whether or not we would actually see those companies, considering their magnitude and being the main access point into crypto for a lot of people who still want to be affiliated with the industry and associated here, then I think, are they at risk of that bank run? It would take some really damning evidence, indisputable, in order to really create that scenario like we've seen with FTX and Celsius and all these others, where you see what is known as a bank run but shouldn't really be, because actually there shouldn't be any of this fractional lending. within the crypto system. It should all be on chain and provable. So yeah, I think I can't see. I personally don't see them at risk just because they do have provably large reserves, and I think I can't see the demand to that level that would really drain those reserves coming in at a sudden spike, unless there is something incredibly damning that comes out and irrefutable, and that actually gets out into the public vision. Because don't forget, these shady individuals has had some incredibly strong PR teams, and at times underhanded tactics, as is rumored to be with certainly Celsius and some of their networks. So yeah, and many others in fact. So you know, do be careful as to what you hear, and just because a voice isn't very loud, it doesn't necessarily mean that it isn't right. And quite often in these situations, we do see fanboys being created. With the case of CZ, with the case of Sam Bankman-Friedman, with the case of Alex Mashinki, and many others, Sutu and whoever knows, even Martin Shkreli, out and about now, and is idolized by some. So yeah, and they're often the most vocal people as well. So just because there is some noise and people supporting and casting doubt on these situations, do take make an informed opinion by just understanding, researching the situation, looking at that perspective, and making your own decision rather than just blindly believing someone else's, because otherwise that's exactly the situation we end up in. And that is exactly what blockchain is designed to prevent, by having that available transparency for everyone.
Great.
It just seems like people want to have a financial dommy daddy or something like that.
People are lazy. They don't want to put the effort in and learn and spend the time, or just don't have the time and just want a quick fix. And unfortunately, these people continue to offer that. Richard Hart with Hex and all of that, down and absolute fortunes. They still lapping it up, shilling him, defending him, despite their kind of minus 70% losses. So yeah, who knows?
Well, as of right now, Bitcoin just over 17k, Ethereum just under 1.3k. So it looks like they're holding decently right now, but as of course everything is still potentially unraveling. So
indeed, actually, that's a very good point that you just raised, and that was raised by the ECB, which I forgot to include in the update. So the European Central Bank did publish a note around the Bitcoin prices, stating that this is the last stage of wash trading. They're desperately trying to prop up and maintain the price. The fact that it is so stable considering the volatile conditions probably does shine a light on some potentially intended views, and we have seen what appears to be intense tether repegging attempts, and potentially with Bitcoin we've seen moments where when the price looks like it's going to fall in terms of volume, we do see big buys just maintaining that. So European Central Bank have said this, and again called Bitcoin a fraud, and said it will go to zero. What's interesting, of course, is that the author of this article is involved in the creation of the central bank CBDCs. So again, we've got a big effort from the traditional banking community to really try to take advantage of the situation to discourage decentralization and blockchain and cryptography. Whereas, of course, this was not a failure of any of those things. It was precisely the opposite, and a failure to adhere to the principles of the decentralization and cryptocurrency and blockchain. So what I think is also important to note is that there have been significant deaths in the recent weeks we have had 4 crypto billionaires, as the news outlets were framing it,
What?
die over the last few weeks, mysteriously. One died in his sleep. One jumped out of a window. One
That's a little bit
died
scary.
in a helicopter crash on a clear weather day. There was a passenger who was intended to be boarding and didn't, which perhaps sounds mysterious. And then, of course, we had the founder of MakerDAO, and founder of DAI and creator of DAI, and Rai, actually tweet that the CIA were going to kill him, or frame him, and within hours was found dead, drowned. So yeah, I think this is also happening at the time where there is a big push for some nations to adopt CBDCs and heavily exploring that. Central banks are certainly exploring that. It's interesting to see the kind of timing of these events, whether or not they're correlated. I don't know, but yeah, there's a lot of things happen in a very quick space in terms of the legal aspect, in terms of what's being investigated and who's being affected. So yeah, we'll have to kind of wait and see again how this kind of plays out. I think a lot of it will hide in the shadows. A lot of it won't be publicized. A lot of it will be spun. So it's just trying to dig out the key facts. It's the easiest thing to do, is trying to correlate across many, or validate across as many sources as possible, and just look at the consistencies, because that gives you an indication as to at least these were the facts, without all of the spin and agenda that each individual writer will have, partially for a natural tendency, but often with some sort of agenda to align with their publisher's views. So just be conscious of that with any news source, to be fair, not just crypto information.
Okay, well, that kind of that kind of definitely took a dark turn. I was definitely not aware of the potential, I guess maybe potential assassinations or whatever it might be. But yeah, I guess rest in peace to those people.
It's just strange coincidences,
or it could be a strange coincidence as well. I mean,
it's strange coincidences in a short space of time that people associated or controlling large amounts of Bitcoin would then perish around the time that the industry is having somewhat of a large shake-up, and also around the time that governments are moving forwards with intent to further regulate and also explore their own digital currencies that they would then have control over as well. Like we already see with centralized stable coins, where they can just go and freeze wallets at the request of law enforcement agencies. We see Tether freeze wallets, USDC as well. So there is that level of or potential for control further on chain, if it's not a decentralized currency or blockchain potentially as well.
All right, well, yeah, so let's change gears here, talk a little bit about something a little bit more more positive. Eki, looks like there were some updates
to talk about the inevitable advance of AI algorithms that will one day take your job.
Yes, sir. This is going to be a little bit scuffed, so bear with me. Great, everything's black. I love to see that. Yeah, please bear with me for just a second. This is a little bit difficult to resize. I mean, you can see it on the screen now. It's a little bit off-centered, but just bear with me. I'm sure
I'm actually
you guys will
surprised
be
at how
fine.
good the 256 ones look at that scale, but
Yeah.
So in the last couple of weeks, this second version of the Stable Diffusion model released, and I've basically been applying it to the rune words that we have, particularly the ones that kind of, I guess, were smaller, like in terms of the image associated with them. And I found it really easy to upscale them to a much higher resolution so we can make out more details for the items that we have. This also helps with generating basically the variants that we've talked about before and that we're hoping to deliver. Um, and yeah, Stable Diffusion 2 has been kind of negatively received because they combed out all of the NSFW content stating the model, which means the
No
majority of the
waifus.
people, yeah, no waifus, unfortunately, at least no naked waifus. And as a result of that, the clothed waifus have worse anatomy because
Oh
because of
no.
the way the model learns things. So yeah, there are some shortcomings with it, but for item generation, it's been pretty great. Yeah, I was nowhere near able to do this with 1.5, which was the previous version. And yeah, now we have this. And with this amount of detail, it'll be easy to upscale them even further. There's a model for Stable Diffusion 2 that I believe upscales it up to 2K with little fuss. So yeah, and then you'll be able to do that with all of the variants that we generate as well. So yeah, there's also, I think I shared like 10 or so versions of Blur that I generated.
Yeah, I just wanna let me see. I wanna see if I can actually full screen this picture, just because it might not show up on the stream the differences. But let's see, if I full screen it, you might be able to see a little bit more clearly. Well, I guess I would have to move it above all of the cameras and everything.
Yeah.
You can see
Okay,
that
I don't know what I just did, but
everything's kind of more
Yeah.
defined,
Yeah.
more detailed and drawn out. And I'm assuming the advantage there is that when you're generating things based off this as a base model, and especially trying to increase the resolution of it, then because it's having to do less work to create that expansion in terms of the pixel count, you know, it's already got that there to work with, then it's able to come up with things that are much more consistent and retain those kind of defining features.
Yeah, I believe it works something like that. I'm not like 100% certain. I know that basically when training these models, what they're working with is actually only like 64 by 64. So they can't really make out super fine details very well. Like with 1.5, when I was trying to upscale Hellfire on the left there, the dragon in the middle was always getting fucked up because it didn't even know what it was. Like it seemed like. But here with 768, like you can see that it knows it's a dragon, and it actually, I think, kind of improved it, because in the original one you can like tell because of human pattern matching brain that that's a dragon. But it doesn't have like a defined head. It just kind of ends in this weird amalgam of lines, and SD 2.0 actually kind of turned it into a dragon head. So I haven't posted the variants on Discord yet. I was generating for Blur some of the, I guess, what would be considered higher level variants today, and I just wanted to show some of those as well. And I'll be posting more of these variants as well on Discord going forward, now that 2.0 is released. Before this, I was going to attempt to fine tune like a model for us specifically based on item concept art and inventory images, but the training process is still very like hit and miss, and everywhere I look is a different explanation on how to do a good job of it. So yeah, I kind of held off, and then this 2.0 model seems to be doing just fine for our purposes right now. I still want to fine tune a model going forward so that we can do interesting things with this kind of mechanic, like adjusting certain facets of the item to have certain qualities, and maybe associating those with attributes or something like that. But yeah, this works for generating variants of the items we already have for like a first gen of skins, we'll say.
So, on the topic of AI, I've seen a lot of people on Instagram, on Twitter, posting like I think an AI recreated variation of a picture that they uploaded, like a selfie. I don't know if you've kept up with that or seen any of that. And Disco, I know you go on Twitter all the time. I'm sure you must have seen that around, right?
Sim what? Sorry.
So I think there was like a bot or something that would make an AI generated version of yourself, like in like anime form or something like that. It actually looks like it worked out. It works really well. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that at all. No, really? Eki, have you?
I mean, you get those like kind of apps and that, don't you?
Yeah.
And I think Facebook does it natively. You can create some sort of avatar thing of yourself. I think actually my Samsung phone has its own like AR character generation. Doesn't the iPhone do that for like video calls? Is it that sort of thing you mean?
I can't exactly say what it is. I haven't used it. I think Loma looks like he's familiar with it, but I did see it around on Twitter quite a bit. I'll see if I can actually pull up a few of them later on in the stream, and we can take a look at it. But
in the process of exploring fine-tuning a model, I actually kind of trained one on my face because of course
yes.
you gotta do that. And it worked pretty well. Like, okay, the first time I tried it, and then every time after that, some random aspect of it was fucked up. And I'm not like I said, you get a different explanation on how this works from everywhere you look. Ultimately, I think I'll just need to literally take a course on machine learning models and then use that to inform my decision making with fine tuning a model. But it's really interesting. You can take pictures of yourself and basically train the model, and then write a prompt with you in it, like draw a picture of Eki by Akira Toriyama or something like that, and then it combines you with its notion of what Akira Toriyama's style is and produces that. It doesn't do a good job of Akira Toriyama though. But there are some artists who do really great fantasy art, and I was able to actually like basically have pictures of me generated as a D&D character, which is pretty dope. I even used it for my basically social media avatar, not like a fantasy one, but just one that looked like a clean kind of painted image. Normally I'm very much repelled by the thought of putting images of myself online, but when an AI kind of takes it and spits it out, I'm like, all right, that doesn't look too bad. Yeah, it's fun stuff. It just is like a lot of work and a lot of trial and error to get to work for yourself without like a service or a UI that abstracts a lot of that difficult a lot of the difficulty out of it, I guess.
All right, so I'll pull up a picture that somebody did. It's not gonna be a real person, just so I don't show a real person. It's luckily it's a cat, a very famous cat on Twitter. If you do follow crypto, you might have seen this cat before. Disco, I'm sure you're probably familiar with them, but let's take a look. So this is gonna be I'm assuming the left is what you put in and the right is what you get. It's a Chinese app, I guess, but everybody's been using it, and like You know, like getting to the right from the left, that looks crazy. Look at the cat. You can see its eyes and everything. Like very detailed. Looks very beautiful.
I don't know what this is. I don't know what these cats are. I don't think they come up on my Twitter.
Okay. Okay, so you have you seen? So you haven't seen anything like this before, right,
Never,
Disco?
no.
So this is also kind of similar.
What
Where
I
What,
saw,
people just generate cats?
no. Okay, so what it normally does is you put like a selfie of yourself in, but I didn't want to show just like a selfie of some random person, so I did one of CL. CL is a big personality in crypto. He is a cat, the founder of eGirl Capital. I mean.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So yeah, I just showed a picture of him because I didn't want to show like an actual, person. That'd be a little bit weird, but you can see like, you input the top and you get the bottom, and it's very, I think, well drawn, very pretty, very aesthetic, at least in my opinion.
Got you.
Yeah. So
So you can
that's
draw a really
basically
rough sketch, and then it will just kind of turn it into a.
yeah,
good
it works
picture.
really well on like real selfies, real people's faces. I just don't want to, pull up anybody on stream.
Yeah.
So
I saw something like The Rock being converted to an anime.
Yeah. So yeah, I think Loma has probably seen other people do this. I thought you guys would have seen it, but maybe not yet. I'll give it a try with my own selfies, probably after the stream.
Yeah. I mean, that's essentially just image to image right there.
Yeah.
So it like you can throw it a really basic sketch of something, and then it basically takes that as a
Oh my god,
foundation
look at
to
this
draw
one.
on. So it'll usually maintain its shape and stuff like that. Yeah. It just if you watch like iterations of the image as it's created, it usually basically makes like a little kind of framework upon which to build the rest of the image out. So it basically takes your image and uses it as that early framework. And you can with the current version of the UI that I use, you can adjust how much of the image it'll take, kind of like how strongly it'll maintain the original kind of composition. And you can do a lot of interesting stuff with it, including make item variations. So
this is heavily biased towards cats. As you can see,
it's not working right now. I can't do it.
Turn the building into a second cat. As it did with, I think, the other image you showed. It was the initial image was actually a cat with a tiny person.
Yeah.
And that turned it into a cat with another cat. So there's clearly there's a lot of bias towards that output.
Yeah. I don't know if you like actually put in any kind of prompt here, or it just takes what you give it and then puts something out.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I just gave it a try, but unfortunately it looks like it is down for maintenance right now, or maybe it's overloaded because everybody on Twitter is probably trying to do it. So not working right now, but if you guys do want to give it a try, you can probably just Google it or find it on Twitter or something, and I will give it a try later. It's do you think it's using Stable Diffusion, or do you think they're using some of their own in-house stuff?
Stable Diffusion's probably the most. It's a safe bet, I would say, because it's the most popular like open source model, and they may be using like a fine tune of it that's specific to like anime type pictures. There are a couple of really popular ones like Novel AI. Their model leaked, and then there's another one out of China that was Novel AI's base, but then they fine tuned it further, and a lot of people use that for waifu generation and other degenerate acts.
Hey, come on.
No, but yeah, so it's probably you wouldn't want to use Novel AI in like an actual service because it is like a copyrighted model, I think. So yeah, it's at the very least like its origin is probably Stable Diffusion.
Yeah, gotcha. I think that is a safe bet. It did look like it had some of the similarities that you would see from from SD. Okay, I think we've this ran on for a little bit longer than I expected, but let's get into our main topic of the day: MMOs, mechanics that you've seen in MMOs, things that you liked in MMOs, things that you didn't like in MMOs. What do you guys want to see in Sanctuary? Twitch chat, obviously, you guys are very welcome to answer as well. But let's start with you, Maiev. What games have you been playing? What do you like to see in games? What do you not like to see in games? I know.
I want something. Well, MMOs that I've played are basically Korean MMOs, like Ragnarok Online, which is like a grind game, pay to play. You actually don't have any path or any quest to do, so your goal is just to level up and socialize with people, and then sell the loot. But it's a really good game. It's an old game, and people are still playing it up until now. But what changes is that it has been a cash game after several years, because people no longer wanted to socialize. They're too lazy to grind. They use bots. But it was really fun when I was a kid, because it's like a metaverse, right? Because you're walking with your avatars, and you're able to chat with people. There are pop-ups, like there's a chat box under your screen, and all of the people who is chatting there would be able to see the messages of all the other people, and you can also have it also has like a pop-up chat box when you chat privately to another player. But what I like about it is like I was there are times where I wasn't even grinding. I was just trying to look at the different people's shops, trying to buy and sell, and I've spent hours there to make profit.
Okay, yeah. So, I'm sorry. What was the name of the game again?
It's Ragnarok.
Ragnarok. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
So, I don't think I've ever played Ragnarok, but just from the way that you're describing the game, it sounds very similar to MapleStory. For
haven't
some
played
reason, I'm like the
MapleStory.
only one out of you guys that plays MapleStory, but like
Yeah.
it's very,
Never heard of it.
from what you've described, is very similar. You know, there are quests in MapleStory, but they're not required. You can do the quest if you want for EXP, for items or whatever, or you can just grind and just level the normal way. You just kill mushrooms, kill slimes, you know, have a good time,
Yep.
chat with your friends, hang out. Some people don't even care about leveling up. They just sit in a town, just hang and just, you know, sit in a town and just flirt with people.
So the downside of Ragnarok Online is you can only play it solo for like a certain level, like let's say up to level 17. You'll be able to play it solo, but once you go up to the next level, depending on your class, for example, you're a knight. People don't want to party with the knight because you have to have the best gears in order for you to do the same or get the same XP that a wizard gets in a party. So basically, if you're playing solo Ragnarok Online, then it would be a terrible game for you. But if you have friends, it'd be an easy game for you because you'd be able to boss hunt. Of course, a single player won't be able to hunt bosses as optimal as those who are in the party because it's like they base the drop depending on how much damage a party has done on a boss. So let's say
I see.
it's me versus against you three, and I've only done like 10% of the damage, and you guys did 90% and killed the boss. You get the loots. So you are not able to, even if you see the loots on the ground, you're not able to pick it up because you're not the one who killed the monster. So you won't be able to steal items from the on the ground. Like in Diablo, wherein if there is an item on the ground, whoever picks it first, you'll be able to get it. Yeah, so it's terrible for solo players, but it's a really fun game. I really enjoyed it as a kid.
Okay, so I think that leads to the important question. I think, you know, it's a one thing to look back at a game and be like, okay, that was really fun as a kid. You know, I really enjoyed that experience. But would you still play that today? Do you
Yeah,
play it, and would you play it?
I played it. Like there was a C server release last February. Spent like $200 because of the nostalgia, just to get some costumes. But I tried power leveling. It has a lot of cash options now, which allows you to level solo. But I ended up quitting because even if I'm able to level up faster than it was in the past, I still don't have friends to play with. So I'm not able to. I'm not able to grind the bosses. I'm not able to get items. You know.
Okay,
So
so
I
so it sounds like you enjoyed the game, but you just wish that there were more solo
yeah.
opportunities. So maybe that's something that we can keep
It's
in
really
mind.
restricted to solo players, unlike in Diablo 3, wherein you could literally solo the game and just grind and grind and grind until you get the highest level paragons, and you'd be able to carry off your friends if they want to.
Right. So I think there is, you know, kind of a balance perhaps of, you know, do you want the game to be more solo focused? The problem is if you have a solo focused game where you don't really need to party or to play with other people, then you kind of get into the situation where people are kind of just playing alone, rather
Yeah,
than playing with other people, right?
it's really hard to balance things off. You can't be like Kirito in Sword Art Online, where he is like literally a solo player, and he gets the best loot in game. It's it's literally impossible.
Kirito.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's it's kind of a balance, and it'll be interesting to see which direction we go towards, or if we try to cater towards both. It might be a little bit more difficult to cater towards both, but of course that's something that we're gonna have to figure out. So the new normal TNN does say in the chat that he wants to open his own shop in Sanctuary, which allows him to sell and rent rune words and items, and he wants to be able to buy land and maybe build a castle or a fortress or maybe an entire town. Okay, that's pretty ambitious. I think, in my opinion, that is kind of like how I view the metaverse. I think that's how that's what I would like to see as well.
So, what we have talked about previously is certainly, being in a metaverse, being able to assume the position of a shopkeeper or trader, very much potentially as a role, potentially even as an occupation, that generates sufficient income in real life, depending, on circumstances. But I think there's definitely an opportunity for that there. Is something we're absolutely open to, and have discussed publicly and with the community many times. Recognize there's a desire for it. Exactly how that's implemented, not too sure. Whether that is through having land and having ownership of trade that happens within there, whether you're just able to set up shop and there's a random distribution as to who lands there. We're not quite too sure on that yet. I think that's a bit further down the line, but certainly the intent to enable those kind of things, as we already do through the marketplace. We do already see people trading items in there. You can be that kind of shopkeeper. You can check out trades from a particular profile. We'll obviously want to improve the UI around those kind of experiences. But yeah, definitely want to offer that. In terms of land, we have talked about it. We have got Hera. We have got a predefined map. And if land were to be offered, it's probably going to be sections within the world map. Certain locations we probably wouldn't want to sell, land that players can build on and experiment with in those kind of central key locations. The key storyline, major cities, that sort of thing. We wouldn't want to see something strange in there. And yeah, but you know, would you have the opportunity to be a shopkeeper in there or set up a shop or buy an existing location like that? I think that feels more likely for those areas. When you've then got the other, you know, larger, more open areas or hills, woodlands, all these kind of places, and we've got different environments there. Those are the sorts of areas, you know, as you're passing through as a player, you might encounter other players' lands. I think feels a bit more appropriate in terms of building on them. It's probably still going to have some constraints just to fit in with the lore and the theme, because ultimately this is a dark fantasy game, so it'd be strange if there was a pink fluffy teddy bear just, you know, wandering
come on.
around, as cool as that would be. And we know that some players like that, and maybe there is an opportunity, you know, in some areas or in some ways to have that kind of fun element. But generally speaking, because it's again an MMO and living breathing world, and walking around with all these player counts, it just wouldn't quite fit in with the design direction there.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things about having a metaverse in a way, as we've kind of described it in the past, is that we'll have, you know, multiple games within the same universe. There's no reason we can't have a, well, okay, one problem with games sometimes is that they go in too many different directions and don't spend enough time refining one aspect of the gameplay or the core aspects of the gameplay in service of just having a lot of things to do that are fairly shallow. We can just kind of have a game that's more based on life skills and owning land and selling items and things like that. And you do that within that game. And then you can take those items using the blockchain and bring them into Sanctuary, which is more combat centric. You can use the same character in both games, things like that. I think that's a potential way of doing this. I know we've had like a bunch of, there's a Discord channel, a team Discord channel that has like a whole bunch of ideas relating to things like this and land ownership and just how we'll handle that. So, you know, it's definitely something we've thought about quite a bit.
Yeah, so Eki, are you playing any MMOs currently?
I unfortunately am not playing much of anything.
Yeah, busy.
I'm basically at the end of my doctorate, yeah. So I'm building a study in Unity. So I spent a lot of time on that and doing analyses in R and fun things like that. This break, I might allow myself to play some games. There have been some releases that I'm interested in looking at, but
what?
So let me see if I can. I'm really bad at like just
remembering names. Yeah, the names.
Yeah.
Names are. Yeah, I mean,
dwarf. Sorry, go ahead.
I think a game that I've been looking forward to. I think we've covered it before. Is I forgot the name. It's Blue something. What is it? It's Blue.
Blue Protocol.
Blue Protocol. Yes, that is the game.
Yeah.
I think so many people have been waiting for that game. Blue Protocol.
Are you waiting for that game?
Yeah. That's the game I'm most looking forward to. That's probably gonna be my next main MMO.
Genshin, Monster Hunter.
Yeah, I think a lot of people like. Am I lagging? Did everyone freeze? Is it me? Hello? Oh no.
Yeah, you're
I don't know what
fine.
you're talking about.
I'm fine. I'm good. Okay, cool. Okay, anyway, so Blue Protocol, yeah, I do feel like that is probably one of the games that I know at least a lot of people in my friend group, I know, you know, Maiev has been looking forward to it as well. A lot of people are looking for the Blue Protocol. Honestly, if I'm gonna be honest, I think a lot of it has to do with the art. I think the art style is very appealing to a lot of people. It's very anime-esque. You know, you can make your own waifu and everything like that, and it's more of a MMO, right? It's like Genshin, but like more of an actual MMO. So I think that's
Right.
yeah, that's what we're really looking forward to. I think art style is actually really important as well.
Yeah, I'm not really a fan of those heavily. I think the art of World of Warcraft is good, but it's not realistic compared to Guild Wars, Terra, Black Desert.
Hmm.
I'm not really a
Yeah.
fan of that. For me, those art style which looks too real, it's like I'm no longer playing a game. It's like I'm playing a game for visuals,
Yeah. So
not
you like the
for
anime art
fun.
style as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, gotcha.
I like the anime style, but I like it when it's more like recently, and you're seeing this in actual animes, they've gotten better at 3D shading to the point where it actually looks like an anime, like a 2D anime, hand
Mhm.
drawn and everything, even though it's CG.
Mm.
And
Like
this
the one that
this
they're
is the
doing in
first time I've
Pokemon,
looked
right?
at it.
And Zelda.
So what's the best like example I can think of this is like honestly those Cyber Connect 2 fighting games for like Naruto and Demon Slayer
Demon Slayer?
with the
All right.
cinematics. Like they look, it's mostly the cutscene type stuff that I'm talking about here, but it looks like it is basically an anime, just like better because you have that sense of depth and scope to everything that happens. And I think like if you master that, then it's amazing. This is the first time I've looked at Blue Protocol. It doesn't quite look that good, but there's something to be said for that like anime art style just done with depth. And I think that yeah, that's visually appealing art style for me for sure.
Yeah, art. I mean, art style is always just something that's completely subjective, right? Disco. I mean, are you a weeb? I don't remember if you're a weeb or not, but
A weeb?
are you a
For
weeb,
you.
Disco?
Am I a what?
Are you a disco weeb?
A what?
Okay, never mind.
I
you.
have no idea what you're talking
Okay,
about.
so yeah, so somebody like disco, you're probably more inclined for, you probably like the games that
Disco likes
have
playing
more than
FPS.
two dimensions.
What in terms of graphics?
Yeah, in terms of art style, I'm sure you would probably like the ones that are more realistic, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I was playing a bit of Crash Bandicoot 4 earlier. I play Mario with the kids and stuff. I do. I mean, I like nice graphics and stuff. I tend to play first-person shooters more commonly.
Right.
In terms of games, I guess like a nice visual is always going to draw you in and perhaps interest you more to check something out than a interesting gameplay loop, because it's quite often more harder to demonstrate that. Nice visuals work well in marketing, but I'm not averse to playing something that isn't the best looking, if it is fun to play. So yeah, I do like to experiment in that sort of sense.
Gotcha.
I never really played like many MMOs because normally when I'm playing a game, I no longer play like kind of what I felt was competitively, but never competed. But used to, plays quite well on like Battlefield 1943 and Call of Duty Modern Warfare, the original one.
Oh man, have you been playing
leaderboards.
Warzone?
I haven't. Do you know what? Like,
Oh.
I'm not massively keen on that kind of battle royale
Okay,
style.
yeah, you're not a BR player. Gotcha.
Yeah, I prefer. The reason I like Battlefield is because it's big open maps. You can be kind of strategic about your movement, what you're going to do. There's always a few different things going on. So yeah, that's always appealed to me. The kind of slightly slower paced gameplay that compared to games like Call of Duty, certainly the regular versions have. Where it's very much on the rails, lightning speed reaction shooter. Because I don't have those lightning speed reactions anymore. So being able to kind of think my way tactically to some sort of good performance is nice. Yeah, I guess Fallout as well, and that's one of the reasons I kind of veer to more single players. I like exploring, just collecting stuff. So that's one aspect of RPGs and games that I do like. It's just collecting loads of loot and then spending endless hours on inventory management, because I'm overcumbered, and then have to get rid of a few bits, and then still want to go and check out that chest, and I'll pick up all the lamps and the plug sockets and the other bits, even though the gold's like the only thing worth picking up.
Okay, so if you had,
I play very boring. I play in a very boring way typically.
well,
I
that's
play
fine. I
RPGs.
mean, people like
Oh,
different things, right? I think that's actually important, which is why,
I
you know,
really think FPS isn't a boring game if you're playing like FPS games competitively.
they can
It's like
be.
it
Well,
out a lot of adrenaline into you.
it really just depends on, you know, what type of player you are, right? So anyways, Disco, I wanted to ask you, what is, you know, what is your favorite and like least favorite like mechanic or aspect of a gameplay? It can be like any type of game, MMO, shooters, whatever. So what do you like? What do you like? What do you not like?
Yeah, I don't like the kind of repetitive mindless clicking. Do you know what I mean? When you're constantly like, I wish there's bulk action. So like Skyrim, for example, I used to play that a lot. Sunk many hours into it, and then you're crafting ingots, and then you're doing all of this, and it's the boring, like, you know, press a button, watch an animation, wait for a timer to go down, job done. Okay, now I can do the exact same thing again. Like, if you're gonna make me sit behind a timer, that's fine, but, well, it's not fine, but let me automate it at least. Don't make me sit there for hours clicking a button.
Oh man, yeah, you
You know,
should
I spent hours
avoid
over the cauldron with the potions and stuff like that,
But
experimenting. And
you should avoid the
you know,
Korean MMOs then.
modern
yeah,
modern MMOs or Chinese MMOs that I've seen, it's like when you craft a potion, you have like 4 hours to wait for it to craft, and
Oh,
then
I
you
hate
will
that.
just redeem it. It doesn't seem fun to me. Isn't it better when you're seeing like if you craft a potion, you just have to wait like 2 seconds
yeah,
for it to
yeah.
craft, rather than wait for 4 hours and then go back after 4 hours, like log out of your computer, and then redeem those 100 potions that you crafted. To me, it's more exciting if you do it one by one, but at a short time frame.
I
Where
It's frustrating, isn't it? You know, just
Yeah.
not being able to actually play the game and do the things you want. You
it's
know,
kind of like a
especially if you are
balance.
limited in the time, because as you get older and or you have, more responsibilities,
Yeah,
the amount of
that's right.
time you can actually spend playing games is more limited, and especially in a single session with focused time. So not being able to do all the actions and setting something to then a 4-hour timer is probably going to be finishing beyond like your session, and therefore it's just, well, I'll have to wait until next time just to get that thing that I've just crafted and came here for in the first place.
Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah,
like a
that's one of the
balance.
things that
You can go ahead. You can go ahead.
that's one of the things that keeps me away from MMOs is the kind of time commitment. It feels like if I'm not like playing, I'm falling behind because
Right.
there are always other
Yeah.
people playing and advancing, and the end game gets further and further away, and so it makes it hard for me to enjoy. In moderation, it makes me feel like I have to constantly be playing, so I tend to avoid them to some extent, or at least avoid the main server and go for like a private server version where there are fewer people and they're more like casual about their gameplay.
Yeah, that's a bad thing about MMO. It's like you don't want to get left behind, right? You'd see
Yeah.
some players, because I played an MMO in Steam called Tree of Savior. We played it in closed beta, so we literally know the game before it launched to the public. And then when the game was released to the public, we were like all the three of us, me and my friends, were like grinding because we know what to do, we know what to grind, and we even know like the best that you can do to be on top, and we were like on top 10 in Southeast Asia. But I have to constantly play for like at least 8 hours a day, and my friend was like playing 12 hours a day, and then
Yeah.
I just got tired of it, and then I just skipped the day. From top 8, I went like to top 24. Then the next day, top 50.
Yeah.
And then I'm no longer able to catch up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's always
yeah,
another
that's like-
person grinding.
Yeah, that's basically, it feels like that's the experience with MMOs these days, and that's kind of why I tend to play like single player experiences that have optional multiplayer, where you can kind of share your work and your environment with other people on your own time, and it doesn't feel like you're falling behind, because there is like a story for you to go through and a satisfying kind of arc associated with it. It's not just like a constant grind, which, like, don't get me wrong, I can enjoy that. It's just that like I have to neglect other parts of my life in order to like fully enjoy it, and that doesn't feel like it's worth it. So I avoid it. Like, yeah. Most of the games I'm excited for that are coming out are like single player experiences that have either kind of like emergent storytelling, which is just based on things that you do, and it's kind of like a simulation, or like it's a focused single player experience with a concentrated narrative, or it's a roguelike, where things can happen on each playthrough that are different, and the core mechanics that it's built around are really satisfying to repeat, and I can do that on my own time, find out new things in the game and not feel like it's kind of a competition that I have to be sacrificing other elements of my limited time on this planet in order to keep up with.
Yeah, I mean, I'll play Civilization now and again, and I tend to play it in bursts, because when I do, it kind of takes over my life. But because it's turn-based, and it's just one of those, like, sucks you in. Like, you think, well, I can put it down at any moment because I'll just take my turn and then go and do something. But of course, it's always that one more turn. Well, I'll just do this one more turn before I go and do that, and then I'll just take one more turn. And next thing you know, it's half hour later, and you're like, oh my god, it's half hour later. Well, I'll just take this turn, and then I'll go and do that thing. And then another hour later, you're like, oh my god, right, well, I need to take this turn, and then I'll go and do that, because the Japanese are going to attack me from the left. So, I just
the Japanese
one out. I'm going to fill it. It depends, you're battling all civilization leaders. So, no, it's great fun. But it sucks my life away. And because the game, you just can't play it in one go because it's so long. Like, you're looking at, tens of hours to complete a game of Civilization. I don't know how people play that stuff multiplayer. It's quite crazy. You have to coordinate that, so I've never done that.
Have you ever played Football Manager?
I used to play a bit of Football Manager. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
man.
just spreadsheets on steroids.
What?
Yeah. It's like you're a manager of a football or soccer team, basically, and like the players all have stats. You're in control of your club. You can, like, invest in different areas. Yeah. I mean, like, you're not actively playing.
Like,
yeah, you're not actually playing soccer. So it sounds like it's more like a city builder.
In a way, it's a simulation. So it's simulating you being the manager of a team. So you set the you pick the players. You can buy and sell players. You can set the tactics. You can argue with the board to invest in different areas of your team. You can control the scouting setup for your team, etc. You can build like a dynasty and so on. But it's a massive time sink. It's like a season is like a day or two of your life, like
solid day or two of your life. And again, it's another one where it's just like, I'll just do this one more thing, just play one more match, and Next thing you know, you're a season in. You're like, oh my god, well, I'll just play one more match. I'll just set my tactics up for this game so that it's ready for next time. Oh well, now I've set it up. I might as well just see the result of that because I need the outcome of this match and the ticket sales
Yeah.
money to then fund this other venture that a player want to pay. Oh well, now I bought him. I'll just take one more turn and then set him up as a striker on here, and oh well, I'll play a few more matches just to see how he goes, if he's in the right place or not. Yeah, that's a real time thing. Their database is incredible though, because they've actually it's now starting to be used by professional scouts
Wow.
and professional football clubs, and because they just got so much data on players and they collected it from lower leagues as well. So whereas normally bigger clubs would only have information on players once they enter leagues, and therefore somewhat limited until they get to the very top, or they start scouting them and pick out individual players. This helps them actually identify those players earlier on because they're feeding in all data from lower leagues and previous seasons that they wouldn't have normally had access to. So yeah, it's quite interesting actually how that game has actually changed scouting methods for clubs as well, and influenced the way that players are brought in, new people. So yeah, it's quite crazy what an impact it's had.
Okay, guys, we're gonna keep talking about some more game stuff, but I think it is probably time for us to jump on Evo, play some of our Pandemonium games, and do our Stream Elements giveaway. So we can keep the conversation going, but yeah, everybody, please do get ready to jump on Evo.
Yeah, I wish we have like a game that could play seasonal. But
Oh, and
I don't
Maiev,
want
I am gonna have to ask you to take care of starting the games and everything.
Alright. Wait, let me just find Evo. I really like how Diablo 3 has, or Diablo has, their own seasons. The thing that I don't like is it's repetitive, so you will have to finish the game again. And then it's like your progress adds up to your previous character. I really like what Genshin Impact did, wherein they have broken down the game to different episodes. So it's like it takes like 3 to 6 months before you unlock new content. So it's like you're playing the game. You're not, once you've grinded out or finished the main story, you will there's like a cap on what you could do for a certain time, and then there would be like a new update and you could do it. So you don't have to like grind daily, but you still have something left to play on the game, which would excite you more. Not sure if you get my point.
I would
Yeah, there.
hate for a game to be
Sorry.
like that, but I guess that's just different people like different things, right? Why is my controller not working?
So we're playing NA. Let's just wait for the round to finish. We're gonna play Pandemonium,
Yeah.
or are we going to play Battle Royale?
We should probably do Pandemonium. A good amount of dragons in here. My controller's not working. Give me 1 second.
Sure. Well, there's also a game called Dragoness here in Southeast Asia, where you could grind it daily, and but what they did is not similar to what Genshin did, but they put a cap on the levels. So let's say for a year, all the players would be capped up until level 45 only, and that's the max level that you could get. Then you will just have to grind the equipment, and then in the next year they will increase the level cap by 15 or 30 levels. It kept their players, because there's also like it has really good PvP. It's unlike other MMOs. it is a third person wherein you could. It's like you're playing an FPS game, but you're using fantasy characters like mages or swordsmen.
Interesting.
And
Yeah, we do have a question in Twitch chat from DragonLife555. He's asking what happened to Infinite.
well, yeah. So Infinite is currently on hold at the moment because what we're doing is we're improving rune evolution. So evolution 2.0 actually make changes to rune evolution, like the networking and as well as the path on how the dragons or the walls would it's like we're making a better version of Evo because if you've noticed here, like when you bump in the wall, Evo, you're gonna lose connection, right? So there are some certain issues that is very limited on what we've built on Evolution 1.0. So Evo 2.0 will solve that, and the thing that we would learn from or the networking issues or the stuffs that we've solved in Evolution 2.0, we would use it as a base for Rune Infinite to make it a better game as well.
Can you go ahead and
so
switch the game
that's
mode
why
to
Evo-
Pandemonium?
Evolution 2.0 architecture is essentially the same that will be running Infinite and is the backbone for it. So
Right.
because we were looking to create what's with an Infinite a complex build due to the item integration, it makes more sense for us, or we can deliver Evolution 2 quicker than we can Infinite. Because although there are item integrations, the animations are simpler, as we've kind of proven so far in doing this. But what we're able to do is integrate that and get that kind of tested, because we've already got players playing Evolution and it's more accessible currently. That will allow us to test and tweak the back end, make sure that it is suitable to bring players onto Infinite onto it, and then that will allow us to move on and continue with Infinite development. So you know, we've got the core gameplay there, as we've seen, and players have had access to through the early access phase if they've been a Founders Cube holder. The other thing we want to build prior to releasing Infinite to the wider public is the non-crypto account system that we've got in the works as well, which would then, you know, ensure that actually we can get that game out on more than just other platforms. Now, of course, there would be crypto and non-crypto game modes. You know, if you haven't got a character, the chances are you're not going to be earning runes and NFTs. Likewise, if you do and you've got those equipments, and that'll probably have some different criteria. But what it will do is just introduce more players into the rune metaverse, and, you know, give them a pathway to then turn that into a crypto account potentially if they want that to. And take part in that blockchain experience and own all of their items and gameplay. So
we can get
yeah,
started with the
it's
round,
definitely still
Maiev.
in the plans. It is going to happen, but Evolution 2.0 makes a bit more sense for us to do at the moment, because it would just allow us to make a much better Infinite when we do launch that, and the launch will be much better as well.
All right, guys.
And the
so,
unfortunate reality is the amount of resources we have to spread across two games is largely contingent on, you know, market conditions and how many new players are coming in and things like that. And you know, crypto kind of is not as bullish as it was a couple of years, well, a year prior. And we're still here working away, but the speed of our work is necessarily slower because we don't, you know, have the finances to have an entire dev team at the moment.
Yeah,
Right.
that funding, you know, brings us the ability to bring in more devs, you know, have more concurrent things being built at the same time. These kind of market conditions just don't generate that kind of funding. But that doesn't mean that we'll stop. It just means things are slightly slower. Of course, as soon as
Okay, there we
market
go.
conditions do improve, they are there to capitalize on that. Thanks for killing me, Panda.
How is it always you? The moment that Maiev turned the damage up, it was you. It just happened to be you. Okay, so I guess since we have a little bit of time, I do think it was interesting how you guys were talking about the amount of time invested in the game, and I think that kind of relates to what we discussed in our in a meeting in previous week, where I personally don't like the fact that you have some content of the game that's like time locked. You can only do it like once a day or once a week or whatever. But of course that exists so that
you keep returning.
Yeah, you can't just keep like getting more and more
grind,
drop, right? But I think the alternative to that would be to have a very you can have a boss you can do once a day, have a cap on that, or you can have a boss that you do unlimited times a day, but then you just like have a substantially lower drop rate, and that if you want to get the same amount of drops, you would have to do it like 5, 10, 15, maybe 20 times a day. And I think for some people, they don't like that time aspect, whereas for me, I think I would personally like to have a lower drop rate and just be able to keep doing the same boss, same dungeon or whatever over and over and over. Whereas I think Eki has expressed that he would probably not like something like that.
It's a...
In the MMO that I played, I played Tree of Savior, there are instances wherein you can do a dungeon per day. So you will have to choose which dungeon you should farm, but you only have 5 tries. So once you use all that 5 tries, you won't get any drops.
Wait, did we?
Have you guys killed everyone?
Did we kill everyone? Wait, 0 alive.
Yeah,
wait, who was the last dragon?
Chaos Smith.
It was Chaos Smith? Okay, I thought there were more dragons alive, but I guess Chaos Smith does take the first round. Go ahead and start the next round, Maiev.
Okay, yeah.
I think what needs to be considered with the approach is that it really depends on the gameplay and what is the reason that you are limiting that outcome, right? So those timers exist because, as you say, Panda, you shouldn't just be able to go and collect a really powerful item every 2 seconds and just keep tapping on it, right? So one of the reasons would be to limit the frequency at which players can interact with something or get some sort of outcome. The other aspect is to alternatively, so one way of doing that is with a timer. The other way of doing that is by effort. So you have to walk from place A to place B and go and pick up a pail of water, and then walk back from place B to place A and go and put that pail of water in a bath, and you need to do that 6 times, right? And you can impose your time limit and restriction that way, or you need to go and get this quest, and you can only do that at night time. So there are other methods of doing that rather than just having a straightforward timer. Those methods require more interaction from the player.
It's always you. I promise, I have no names.
Why
and you've got to
in Disco?
What you need to think about is, again, do you want your player spending their time, their gameplay time and their free time doing this loop to get that item, if they feel it's worth it, or do you want to get them to do something else? Because if you want them to be doing something else, you're probably going to put a timer behind that if you know that it's something that they absolutely have to do. Now maybe you only put that in place for items where you want the player to grind for a certain outcome, right? If you want to keep getting these gold stars, then you have to keep fetching this pail of water over and over and over again. So you get bored and do something else. But and for some games that works because you just need them engaged. again, these timers are more common in mobile games and gacha games because you have limited time and
Sasuke is the
because
last one.
they know you've got limited time, so they want you to keep coming back and remember, oh, that timer must have run out by now. I'll quickly just check it while I'm on my lunch break. and all this.
I suppose like one way to do it would be to just like have like a certain, I don't know, like every player has like a resource pool associated
There
with
we
them.
go.
It's like I remember playing WoW a while back when basically not playing the game would raise your experience gain for a limited amount of time when you came back. Maybe you could use the same principle for like drop rate essentially, so people could continue to basically farm, but it's most effective in the beginning and its efficacy drops over time. So you can strategize essentially and take breaks, or you can continue to grind whatever resource it is, and you would end up
Alright.
having more drops than someone who waited, but it obviously isn't as efficacious as, or wouldn't be as efficacious as whether
Yeah, I really
or
like
if
that
the drop
concept.
rate stayed the same.
Ragnarok mobile. So Ragnarok has a mobile game, which is like it's like the same game, but and it still has the same skills. It's totally way different. So it has like a stamina, wherein you can play the game for like 4 hours to level up, and then you could actually buy premium if you would like to cut cut that 4 hours into 2 hours, but you'd get double XP and 2 times the drops. And then
See, I
once you
feel like this
consume,
is very dangerous territory when we start talking about like stamina and energy.
well,
Yeah.
I
but
really don't
if
like
you
seeing those
consume,
things in games at all. Those are probably like
but
my
if you
least favorite mechanics in games is stamina
Yeah.
and energy.
snap, all
So
right.
again, there are ways like you're talking about, restricting
Well,
raids to
it's not.
being able to complete them once every 24 hours.
Yeah.
Is that necessarily the best way to control access to those? Even if you know the loot is good every time, let's say, right?
But
Or could you
what they
potentially,
did
especially in the form of
is,
an MMO, should you be looking at, well, in order to actually take part in that raid, you need to go and collect the 5 pieces of a star, right? And you collect them by going to battle for smaller bosses or clearing out some areas, and somewhere within them you find these 5-star pieces, and then eventually you get that. And that, even for a good player, that activity of going to collect all those star pieces and attaining them that way is going to take them at least a couple of hours of gameplay. And
Yeah,
you look at the average play time of their session, and you go, right, well, on average, our most dedicated players play 3 hours at a time. So we make
it's
this raid
always
2 hours
you.
long.
How does that make any sense?
I don't know how you do this. I've just got a magnet. Apparently.
Yeah, you have a panda magnet.
So yeah, you can have this activity take 2 hours, knowing that gives them another hour of gameplay on average of their sessions to
yeah, but
go and take on that raid boss. And then they're probably going to need to call it a night. The next day they jump on, and again they're spending 2 hours preparing for that raid, collecting all the prerequisites that lets them take part, rather than just having a timer. Yes, you run the risk that someone who is just sitting around unemployed all day playing games 16 hours a day has the ability to go and do that 5 times a day, but that's not going to be in the majority. That is going to be really dedicated people, and perhaps they should have the ability to be able to continue that, because they're always populating the servers there for you.
yeah, but
I have
what
no
I'm trying
problem with
to
that.
say,
I think
in
that's fine. It's just a little bit
in that
tedious.
stamina, in that stamina type of game, it once you have consumed all the stamina, then the thing is, so you won't get XP, you won't get drops, but you are able to farm bosses. So there's like a timer for different world map bosses. So let's say there are 10 bosses in the world map. Players could compete and try to kill those bosses for them to get a drop. but
I
it's
hate the fucking rolls so much.
Dude, we're just getting outmaneuvered. Oh my
so
god.
it's up to you whether you just like to play the game uh, by leveling up
Oh, you gotta.
and getting loot, or farming bosses to get high level loot, but you have a lot of competition.
We do have a question in Twitch chat. Loma asks, do we have an estimate on Evo 2.0? We had one. I'm not sure if it's still applicable. Unfortunately, Benzie is not here with us today. I think that the question is probably best poised for Benzie to answer, unless any of you would like to give an estimate.
I think we never like to give dates. I mean, what we do know is that the development work is largely done, in the sense that the game is playable and so forth. There is just optimization and bug fixes. The pace of that activity has slowed down a little bit at the moment due to market conditions, but it's still ongoing. Which is why it's I'd be hesitant to put a date on that.
Gotta
We are
disable Battle
doing
Royale.
things to try and improve that situation. Binsey is working incredibly hard to
Is the round over?
try and
Yeah,
counteract the forces that do impede us from actually producing everything we want to in the time frames that we want to. So yeah, do be assured that there's stuff going on there, but certainly is in the works. I think it's, I don't know if it's like 80-90% there, but it's just a case of optimizing and tuning so that it works well at release. What we have at the moment with Evolution 1 is a solid and stable game that players can jump onto at any time, and to then go on to that next phase, and especially we do sort of want to celebrate that. It would be a shame to lose that stability with the other enhancements and features that it will bring and enable, and that's really where the focus is at the moment. Not running into those sticky walls and spending the next 30 seconds trying to get back out of them, all that kind of stuff. Is really going to be fine-tuned in the networking.
Yeah, that's right.
The walls are the enemy.
The walls, people teleporting to different.
Okay,
Different
Eki,
location.
I have a question for you. I think whenever you were
What up?
talking about like MMOs and the time commitment, I think you mentioned about how you feel like it's a competition, and I kind of wonder like what exactly is that feeling of competition. I think I understand it, like in some games it does feel like that, because if you have PvP that's not equalized, like obviously a higher level character is going to have a huge advantage over a lower level character. But in games that don't have PvP, I think I don't like, to me, I don't feel the need to like try to compete to be the top of the leaderboard or whatever in a MMO.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
but it doesn't have
ultimately,
PvP.
it's kind of like that's in a way the premise of like having a game be massively multiplayer is that you have players to compete with and play with. So it just like, in a sense, a lot of the end games for MMOs tend to be built around things like guild wars and PvP combat and raid groups with your guilds, and the highest guilds are the ones who commit the most time and get the best equipment and so on. So the feeling kind of that you're not part of that is almost like FOMO inducing in a way, or
Gotcha.
just feeling like you're not
Who was the
quite
winner?
living up to what you should be in the sense that you're trying to climb the leaderboard in some aspect of the game. You're trying to advance your character and live out your personal fantasy in the MMO world, whatever that might be. I mean, in some cases you might be just happy with like going through whatever storyline there is or other things, but not a lot of MMOs actually put that much effort into that aspect of it. I've seen like important exceptions, like Final Fantasy 14 has like a really expansive story. Black Desert Online even had one, from what I remember, although it was, I don't know, it wasn't like the focus of it. It was just more like a reason for you to expose yourself to the different parts of the world.
Would you say
Yeah.
that you're less inclined to care about spending a lot of time in the game, or just playing like at your own pace? If the PvP, if the guild wars and everything, if everything like that was equalized, so essentially like you don't, like everybody is basically put at the same level, same equipment and everything.
Not necessarily. It's like having the ability for people to end up being stronger than others is what like kind of makes the competition satisfying. You know, no one wants no one would really be competing if everybody was just constantly on a level playing field. There are some instances where I think level playing fields are good, and if you can equalize the elements of it that have to do with spending a lot of your time, then that's great. But also you're kind of missing out on some elements too by not allowing the people who do actually sacrifice to some extent like other elements of their life to play the game. When we're
see.
close together, we totally slow each other down.
Is that why we were so slow?
Yeah.
I was like, wait, what?
In case, yeah.
It makes sense.
Do you think if there's like if you do like a stamina system, but it would be on a weekly basis, not a daily basis?
I don't like stamina at all. I think
I don't like the idea of gating
Sure.
like actual
But
gameplay.
you want to play a game like you're obligated to play it like 2 hours a day.
no. See, the thing is, if you have a stamina system, then you're more obligated to play. Because then, if you miss out on spending all of your stamina, then you're like, "Fuck, I wasted." You know, I wasted stamina.
Yeah, it's frustrating because you think I'll do this thing, and then you go, oh, actually, now I can't do that other thing that I wanted to do because I haven't got enough stamina.
Yeah, and it's like, so the thing that I mentioned with the 2 times EXP bar, it's like that builds up over the course of like 2 days or something.
Wow.
So if you take a day off, then the next period of time you play, you're literally progressing twice as fast. So it ends up feeling like, you know, taking a break isn't as much of a hindrance to you. Yeah, it's not a punishment. It's like you're moving a little slower than players who spend a lot of time doing the thing, but
how long does it multiply? So
All right, guys.
you get like 3 times.
That was the last game of Pandemonium. This is a very, very dominant showing by Sassy Boy, winning 3 out of the 5 rounds, and the other 2 rounds were won by Chaos Myth. Yeah,
Chaos
we were
Myth
busy
and
talking the entire time, but yeah, very dominant showing by Sassy Boy and Chaos Myth. Let's go ahead and run the stream elements giveaway, and then we'll wrap up for today. We are running quite a long stream. We had a lot to talk about and everything.
We always manage to run a long stream because we're so excited to hang with the community.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Whenever we're talking about games, we just...
Oh, what are we crafting today? What should we craft, guys?
I think it's got to be one of the
rings,
surely.
Yeah, I want to see.
Feel like Soul Cord.
I do want to see if we have enough. Was it Alm? To see if we can craft Soul Cord. If not, then I think we probably will have to do Windfall. Runefall.
Windfall?
Yeah, we might have to do Windfall.
I think we'll try and fix that one for next week, being a newly minted rune and only just appearing as a reward in the raids. We're still collecting our bags to do some crafting with as well. So we'll look forward to that next time. And actually, that's a good point. We haven't really mentioned the fact that since we last had our stream, because it was, of course, the Rune Royale last weekend. We have released a new rune, and which that means that you can craft that new rune word that we revealed 2 weeks ago, Soul Cord. So that is available as well. Do let us know in Telegram or the chats if there is, any good crafts that you've managed to pull. We'll be interested to see them, of course.
Yeah, so we are gonna have to do Windfall. We do not have Ohm on the stream account yet, so it'll be Windfall this week, and probably next week we'll see if we can do Soul Cord. So Windfall giveaway, here we go. Let me paste the link in chat. Go ahead and enter your tickets, guys. I need a haircut. I'm not gonna get a haircut.
Throw it
Are
out
you-
forever.
Or
Trying to grow it out, trying to leave it.
I mean, honestly, see, Eki, you and Maiev, like, you guys have long hair, but your hair is not in your eyes. My hair just goes in my eyes.
Well, that's because I'm pretty much always wearing something
Yeah.
to hold it out of my eyes. It's
Yeah,
almost long
always
enough
tying
for me
my
to
hair.
put it into a ponytail, but
I'm
yeah,
kind of
just get
pale.
comfortable wearing a hat.
I don't know how you do it. I I hate hats.
You should wear a headband, Panda.
A
Whenever
headband?
you're not streaming.
I tried. I bought headbands. I tried it.
Or at least wear a beanie like Eki.
It's just
So
not
it's
comfortable,
easier.
man. I don't like having anything on my head besides from my hair.
Because when
Like
my
I don't
hair
even. I have
These
I have
are
earphones.
hard
I
to
don't even have headphones because I hate having it on my head.
Yeah, I'm trying to replace it because wearing headphones for a long period gets stinky and it irritates the skin.
Yep.
Yeah, it hurts my ears most of the time.
Yeah, that
Like
too.
as soon as we get off stream, I'm taking these off.
Dude, exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
Get-
Join the
massaging my ears.
join the earbud gang. Earbuds don't hurt your ears.
See, that's almost worse for me because
What?
it ends up just hurting the inside of
What?
my ears.
No. Okay. You gotta get the ones that don't go inside your ears. You know, the whatever you call it, the buds, not the ones that like penetrate inside.
Penetrating inside, huh? No, yeah.
Yeah, I
I-
don't understand. It's like all the fucking new earbuds, they all want to penetrate like deep inside your fucking ears. I hate those.
Yeah. I mean, so the ones that are the most ergonomic tend to be expensive, and every time I go out of my way to buy expensive earbuds for that reason, and like them being waterproof and having nice sound quality, I lose them within like 2 months. And then when I buy
Yeah,
like a
what
$15
I'm afraid
replacement,
of.
it lasts me for like a year and a half and then breaks.
Yep.
And I'm like, why can't I like attend to where my expensive headphones are and lose the cheap ones? But that's just my brain, I guess.
I'm really good with headphones, but my wife takes all of mine, and I've gone through like 3 pairs of Galaxy Buds.
Oh
and
my
a
god, man.
couple of pair of Amazon ones. as
Where
well,
are
like
my
the
Galaxy
AirPods.
Buds? I don't
I'm
know
really good
how.
at looking after them. They've all disappeared. Every pair of wireless headphones, wired ones as well, just get destroyed.
You know,
So these, I made sure you can't hook them up to a phone, so they can't be taken. And she doesn't like the over-ear one, so
you know
Right,
the
right,
Galaxy
that's one
Buds,
of
they
the
have a
safe.
feature on it called like Find My Buds, and they never work.
Yeah.
I try using it. It doesn't do anything. It
you
doesn't
have to
find
be
it.
so close for it to do anything, and they have to have battery. And usually, by the time you've done
Yeah.
that, they don't.
So
have
it's
battery.
so it's useless.
Yeah.
It's actually just useless. I can't find my buds, man. I too have so many buds. The Galaxy Buds, and they're all gone. What a shame.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
All right. Let's see. How long? 4 minutes on the giveaway. Wow, 1.5k tickets. Probably keep it running for another like 45 seconds. At 5 minutes, I'll go ahead and close it. I keep entering with 35 tickets. Maiev with 240. TNN
Why do I
250.
have so many points? I thought I have consumed all my points from last stream.
You got a lot of points from watching. I believe it's like what 100 points every 10 minutes or 1,000 points every 10 minutes or something. It's quite a
Wow.
bit of points now. So
100 points every 10 minutes, I think, isn't it? So you get 10
Oh
yeah,
we
perhaps.
used to do like
per minute.
10 points right before.
10 points, yeah, 10 points per minute, I think. So you get a ticket per minute, is that right? But they get paid out every 10 minutes or
5
something
minutes.
like that.
Yeah, it was...
I don't know, I'm sure it was Panda who told me all of this.
Let me see. It's 100 Twitch cards every 10 minutes. So you can think of it as one chart every minute. I mean, one
It's a
ticket every
a
minute.
isn't it? Yeah.
Kind of, but I think the way that it works is that it only pays out every 10 minutes. It doesn't pay out every
10-minute
minute.
blocks, yeah.
So
Alright. Yeah, we didn't have any stream elements last week, so that's why it accumulated. So it's two streams
Yeah, 2
worth of
streams.
points, right?
all right, go ahead and close it. Pick our winners. Good luck, everybody. We're picking 5 winners here. Loma, Maiev, TNN, Mr. Buggins, and Argonaut 23.
Yeah, Argonaut 23. That seems like a new name for me. Oh, I have his others here. So Argonaut 23, if there are any changes to your address, please DM me on Twitch. Or is it the same?
All right,
Congratulations,
wheel
Ed.
time.
To all our winners.
Congrats all.
Here we go. Da, da, da. And Argonaut 23. First one off the board.
So by the way, like what we've talked about during this stream, we want some feedback regarding the games that you played, what kept you playing it, what made you hate it, or what made you love it. Or we need those feedbacks for Sanctuary, so we could have the best of all worlds or all games into one game, and it's something that we'll try to analyze which one would fit.
Speaking
Yeah,
of
it's really
Sanctuary, did Alex confirm that he'll be coming on stream?
He did not, but
think it was
he has some. Yeah, he's cooking some surprises for us.
All right, so
Yeah,
maybe not
so-
confirmed, but there's a good chance that one of our, Alex. I'm sure you guys know Alex. He'll be potentially on the stream in the coming weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's been developing Sanctuary in the background, and hopefully might have
Ooh,
a
so
little bit more
close.
for us to share. We're trying to get him on to the stream when he does share that stuff to talk about it. So hopefully we'll be able to do that. If not, there might be some clips, screenshots, certainly, something for you all, just to kind of round the year off. And to remind you all as well, that it's not just about Evolution, it's not just about Infinite.
Yeah.
Those things are key and certainly enablers in terms of a technology
boy.
perspective, but it's all aiming and directed towards
His boy.
Sanctuary. I'm glad Steve Maiev didn't get a top 3 prize.
Maiev out
so-
at 4th.
Come on, you're jinxing. Oh no. Or am I watching the stream again?
You're a little bit delayed. Luke
Delayed.
Tekken says skill-based games are the ones that keep me the most, especially FPS. Imagine if there's like a mini game in Sanctuary that was just like a FPS game.
Me and Panda were playing Overwatch.
Oh my
last
god,
week.
imagine if we have an Overwatch mini game. That's quite
So
ambitious.
I know, like the method of accessing games like Infinite and Evolution. I think the intent is, you do that
Oh, this is
through
gonna be close.
Sanctuary. You go to locations, interact
Oh.
with. In Evolution, the reason you've got a hand is because you're controlling your dragon. That's why your equipment has an effect on the game. So, incorporating that into Sanctuary, making that more visible and feel like it's part of that world. Same with Infinite, you're entering there the end of time, and then you're going in for these battles as well, down that corridor. So, yeah, there will be elements of that, and there will be different experiences within Sanctuary itself. That's always been the intent. I know Jackson has talked about potentially, he'd like to explore a card game based on the kind of rude words as well. So once you've got that foundation and that world and structure, there's a lot of opportunities that you can do with it and introduce there. Of course, those to make them really valuable experiences and ones that you feel close to and enjoy takes a lot of effort and time. So yeah, I think we're focused on the core experiences, but there's absolutely possibility for those things. And of course, as we open up, our code base, integrate more APIs and make that more accessible for other developers, there's absolutely no reason why those couldn't actually be started by independent projects from within our community and then incorporated into the game. Very similarly to how in Web 2 you see the mod community create some things and actually end up in a one of those remakes or Game of the Year edition or the enhanced version, those sorts of things. So yeah, absolutely, if people are interested in doing that, I think there'll be an opportunity for that as well. But we're always open to those kind of things, because the richer we can make the world and the experiences within it, the better it is for all of our players, of course.
All right, happy birthday, Sassy Boy! If it is indeed your birthday, congratulations on getting your first on the wheel.
Birthday indeed, yeah. Happy birthday!
Oh wow!
Happy birthday!
Nice. Unfortunately, no purples, no reds, some yellows, some blues.
It doesn't have any negative stats. The best one.
Yeah, looks pretty good. Every week, I feel like I'm getting a little bit closer to getting a red, but unfortunately, that is not how probability works.
But we've only been here just over a year. There's plenty of time for you.
Plenty of time, yeah. Yeah.
In fact, I guess where we haven't drawn, we don't tend to craft during the Room Royales, which we've been doing for the entirety of this year. So that's, of course, 11 of those so far. Then you're not even up to kind of 50 crafting sessions. So
yeah, but sometimes we do more than 40. So
we do.
It probably evens out. It probably evens out.
I think.
Do we have the Evo stats for these? Undefined increased harvest yield, undefined harvest buy and lock LP. Interesting. So I guess the Evo stats for Windfall not currently out.
Not available as of yet. Yeah.
Not yet. All right, cool. A lot of great topics today. A lot of great conversations. Again, Twitch chat, if you guys have anything that you like, that you enjoy in MMOs, let us know. Telegram, Discord. And if there's anything that you really don't like to see in MMOs, let us know that as well. All right. Quite a long stream we had for you guys today, just over 2 hours. Thanks everybody for stopping by, hanging out and everything. And we'll catch you guys all next week.
Yeah, worth pointing out, as again, we'll try and get Alex on to talk a bit more about Sanctuary. We'll hopefully have something soon for you to share, even if it is just only snippets. Bear in mind, this is still in early development. But of course, we just want to give you a little bit of an update on progress and just to show that stuff is still happening. The other thing that we'll get some clarity on for you over the next week or two is around our Christmas stream. As you'll be aware, we normally have the Room Royale on the last Sunday of every month. That happens to fall on Christmas Day this year, which isn't the most optimal for us to attend. So we'll work out exactly what we do with that. And when we have the Room Royale, and just make sure you follow all those announcement and social channels.
All right. Good night, everybody. Merry Christmas.
Soon.
Too early.
Little early for that one. Yeah. Good night, everyone.
All right. Good night.
Thanks,
Good night,
all.
everyone.